I am so excited. Thank you, ladies, for joining for another Digging a Bit Deeper. I have Tracy McLeod with First Centennial and Jennifer Fiore with Guild Mortgage. How are you ladies today?
Good.
Doing great. How about you, Mary?
Life's good. The smoke's calming down. So I think that we are ready to get semi back to normal, hopefully.
Right. Exactly.
I'm very excited. Today, you guys, we have Tracy. She's going to talk about a couple options in case you did not know regarding title. And then we have Jennifer talking about locking your loans for 6 months for new builds. These are really amazing options that we wanted to bring to you guys in case you weren't aware, because you do have options. You don't have to just go with the normal standard. And that's really what digging a bit deeper is all about, is giving options, giving information so you guys can choose and have more power with your purchase. Tracy, I'm just going to go right in with you. What do you have going on with title today?
Well, I just want to talk a little bit. There's been some questions about LifeLock. They've been doing a lot of advertising lately and talking about how people are losing their homes because people are taking their homes and forging documents and now saying that they're the owner. LifeLock does have coverage for that. They do. It's kind of pricey and it's kind of expensive because it's something you have to do online every month. So you can go with a low fee to do that. From what I'm reading, I'm not the expert on it, but to me, it's more than that. LifeLock really isn't about protecting your home so much as it's protecting people stealing Social Security, people getting into your bank accounts, people stealing your whole identity. So you don't have to go that way. A lot of people don't want to spend 30, 40, 50 bucks a month, something like that. And I think it's individual. So if you have two, it could be more. You just have to look at pricing. I know that LifeLock's up there, Norton LifeLock's up there as far as being reviewed good. But as far as protecting your home, when you're purchasing a home, and usually the seller will provide an owner's policy. Well, at that time at our company, and I think it's probably standard, I don't know, but I know for sure in mine, it is presented at the time when you're getting your owner's policy that as a buyer, you can pay 10% more and get the extended policy. It's a one-time fee. So let's say your title was $700, you pay $70. And it will cover things like post-forgery. So title insurance usually in the past has gone from the point you close back in time. Now this is giving features that will cover things that could happen. So you have a post-forgery, you also have encroachments. So you buy a property and somebody builds, let's say it's a lot of acreage, and builds and they encroach on your property. You've already closed, it happens 2 years later, you have coverage. You also have adverse possession. If somebody's trying to come in and take the property back away from you. You have easements by prescription. Now, that's something that's pretty interesting and it does happen. There was a claim that I know of a different company I worked with, but it was down going into off Road heading into Reno. And these people from California bought this huge property. And there was a trail that went across the corner of it. And people openly and notoriously had used that for over 20 years. So that would be an easement by prescription. So they weren't trying to be mean California people, like some people say, oh, those Californians. They were afraid somebody would get hurt on their property. So they set up. They didn't want to get sued. And it caused a big brouhaha. And technically they did have an easement by prescription. And so what a title company would do, one of two things, and I know what happened in this one, they actually went to the person that was losing that corner because of the easement by prescription and purchased back that corner, gave them money back for that corner. But they made it where they had to take and put a whole different trail in for somebody else. It would have had to have gone to court and it would have had to have been decided, but it was fixed outside of court. But that is something that can happen and you don't necessarily know, especially in the larger pieces. So you have that.
And that is why it's coming up quite a bit, is because there's different things, and it's not that people are being rude, but there's so much going on with the world that basically you have to cover yourself.
Right.
And
And they
it's-
were
that's
afraid
what
of
they were
getting
trying to
sued
do.
because if somebody got hurt on a horse on their property,
Mhm.
you know, I know when people come to my house to ride or to put their horse, you know, everything seems nice. Can I leave my horse there for a few weeks? It's like they're your friend and you're thinking, gosh, should I have them sign a thing if the horse gets hurt here or if
Right.
something happens? Because it's funny when things go down, how things become
Go
different.
down. Yes.
Yeah.
Emotions come into play. So with the LifeLock, that's more for like protecting your identity and different things regarding not your home. And then the extra coverage that you
It
can
will-
purchase.
It would protect your home too,
Oh, okay.
if somebody forged a document, because it helps with
Oh.
they're trying to steal that person and say that they were the person and they sold it. But I mean, you don't have to pay hundreds of dollars a year
Right.
if you just do the extended policy when you purchase.
And when would that come up
Go
during the
back.
transaction that they could pick that? Because I know a lot of times, I'm just gonna say, we just probably just toot and we don't even really maybe pay attention, but does this come up before the signing table usually, or
No, they usually
Okay.
do not understand ahead of time. I do have a flyer that I should probably get out to realtors to have that they could hand to their buyers.
okay,
Or your escrow, if you're at our company, they're supposed to have a thing that says they waived the extended policy. And it does talk a little bit about what that is.
okay,
People are really confused because you have a lender policy, you have the owner's policy, and then you have the extended policy, which is, you know, truly a benefit to the buyer. So the buyer can decide if they want to pay the 10% more or not. I've
Mhm.
agents as a gift, pay the 10% policy on their buyers. I think more because it will actually help the agent too, because if something goes wrong, everybody will be in. So helps the agent, helps the clients and puts it.
Together. Okay,
So it's really negotiable, but people just don't understand, like they think, well, why do they could waive all title insurance at that point if they wanted to, because the lender, you know, the lender's thing's gonna cover me, you know, but the lender's policy covers the lender. The lender wants to make sure they're lending the money, that if something is wrong with that property, that they're gonna be made whole. And it does not help the person, the owner that's just purchased the property. So you definitely always want to have owner's insurance, but the extended coverage to me, and it's not just because I'm in the business, it just makes sense because these things that happen post are some of the top things that we will actually get claims on, or people will try to claim on. And yes, if it's something that we missed before that closing and it's a regular policy, we're going to step up and take care of it. But sometimes these things happen after, and then you're just kind of left in the dark. So it is just a small insurance to give you peace of mind. And these days, so much happens. You just don't even know what will happen. And it's not like we have huge claims all the time as an industry, but the ones we do usually have to do with easements by prescription. Forgeries are huge. Heirs that show up that nobody talked about, that all of a sudden say, no, I had a right to the property.
Mm.
So you want to be sure you have that kind of coverage. When it does go wrong, it really goes wrong. So
What I like about the title insurance is it's a one-time fee to cover you at purchase. So, I mean, it does make sense to do it. And you're right, we don't talk about it a lot and we don't have it as an option really. We just kind of don't. So,
yes, and I would be more than happy to talk to anybody that's buying a house, whether they're going through us or not, because all companies, we all have the same products.
okay,
Something different. We call it extended policy here. I think First American calls it an Eagle policy. There's different companies, but it's all the same, that 10%, and you get the extended coverage. So if you're not sure and you're buying a property, please reach out, because I would be more than happy to share some of those options, or your title company you're working with and let them share that. Some
Well,
of them offer it.
Tracy, you were saying too that on LifeLock, it sounds to me that LifeLock's more limited. of what it will cover, whereas the extended policy covers much more, right?
It
So there's
does.
not only the one-time fee on the extended policy, but more coverage on more things. So it's a win-win
Right.
all the way around, quite
Yeah,
honestly.
LifeLock's not gonna cover an encroachment. They're
Yeah,
not gonna cover an easement by prescription.
right,
They're gonna cover if somebody forges something.
right.
So you're right, it does have a better coverage
Yeah.
protecting your property.
Yeah.
So,
Wow. Well, I think that's something that I will work on to help make sure that I am helping my clients better, because I know we've talked about it a year or two ago, and I thought, oh my gosh, I usually tell everybody, like, why would you do that? You know, so I've stopped doing that. You should be proud of me. So we will work on that. We will help give more options, and more so help give more options for protection. And that's really what that is about, both of those options. How about
and
for you,
we
Jennifer?
decided to offer it and make them sign a waiver to not take it, for the simple fact that they were explained enough about that they decided to waive it. So they couldn't go, my realtor didn't tell me, or this person didn't tell me. Just one more way to protect all parties. And we always have that on file if somebody comes back to try to say, you didn't tell me. So that's why we made it standard, but I don't know if all companies do. So
Okay. Yeah. I love
I'll
it.
get you that document too.
Please. Yes. I love that. Jennifer, what do you have new going on? Well, it's been there for a little bit, but we don't talk
Right.
about that much either. So what do you have
No.
going on?
So right now, the thing I'm really trying to get out to everybody is our extended builder lock. So this is for new construction only,
Okay.
but it allows you to lock your interest rate up to 6 months out, which right now, quite honestly, that's super important. Got a bunch of clients who are in contract with homes that aren't going to be done until maybe July of next year. And if they're approved right now, meaning all their numbers, debt to income ratios, everything look good now, that's based on today's interest rate, right? It's not based on what that interest rate potentially is going to be down the road. And as those interest rates rise, which we all expect them to, everything is telling us into next year, they're going to continue to rise. This extended builder lock allows you to protect yourself and your approval, right? You're going to be putting money out for your earnest money with the builder. You're going to be putting out option deposits with the builder. You want to make sure that your approval is going to stay intact. So it's worthwhile to lock that interest rate, say 6 months out, and then you don't have to worry, right? You don't have to stress every day, oh my gosh, the rates just went up. Am I still approved, right? That's a scary place to be. So I'm trying to get that out to everybody to let them know. Let's say you lock on an extended builder lock, and then a month before closing, interest rates haven't gone up, right? Because what that extended builder lock does is it kind of pontificates with the gurus in the interest rate department. They kind of plan and figure, where do we think rates are going to be in 6 months? Okay. And so let's say we lock it and that rate's a little bit higher. Once we get to closing, rates are lower. You get a one-time free float down so that you don't get stuck in that higher rate. So it's protecting you from higher rates, but it's also giving you the benefit of capturing a lower rate if the market hasn't gotten worse. So it's kind of a no-brainer. The biggest question people ask, well, what does that cost? So the average is usually about 0.5 point. So to put that in dollar figures, if your loan amount's $300,000, that's 0.5% of that loan amount, which is $1,500. But it's not an additional fee. So if you locked for 6 months and we get to closing, that $1,500 is just like your earnest money and your option deposits with the builder. It's money that you've already given us, so it will lower what your funds out of pocket are going to be at closing, which is really nice.
Okay. And that, I think, is also another no-brainer that we don't talk about a lot, because say they are going up and you get in contract in February in a home and it's scheduled to close in July, locking that in when you get in contract, 0.5 point on a 350, what is that, like $75 a month?
Probably a little more than that, over 100, yeah. And that could push that debt to income ratio a little too high.
Right.
And now the lender's having to restructure, and maybe now they're going to make you pay something off that you didn't have to pay off before, or come to the table with more money. Everything changes.
Right.
So you really want to know at the beginning, if for anybody buying any home for that matter, mostly new construction, just because there's so much longer out
Right.
for completion. You want to know, am I right at the razor's edge of my approval, right? Because if you are, and that home is not going to be done in 6 months, a 6-month extended builder lock is the way to go, because now you know that you're locked in and you're okay, and you don't have to worry when the rates start to rise.
Well, that just, I mean, that blows my mind, because that's $100 a month on a half a point every single month that you would be saving. So, and this
Right.
isn't even really costing you anything. It goes off of like your down payment, your earnest money,
Right.
whatever
Right.
else you put in there. So this is a huge option that I think we should very much be taking advantage of. And I know here in Northern Nevada, we're coming up on, the builders are ramping up to give some product next year. And this is where we would be seeing that benefit you guys, the purchasers, the very most. This new build situation, I've talked to a lot of the builders, and there's new ones coming to the outskirts. They're coming in Carson and Reno heavy. So the new builds are a really great product. Of course, everything's new, especially for first-time home buyers. You don't have to worry about anything. It's all brand new. And if you can lock your loan in to save you hundreds of dollars a year, it's a no-brainer, and it doesn't cost you anything if you stick with your lender.
Yep. It's a great product, So
if
Yeah,
they
you
wanted
do
to
not
give
want-
a- Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry, you do not want to get priced out. And we've had, we've seen that where people are playing that market and they're on that margin, and now all of a sudden they can't buy.
right.
Sometimes
That's
that half
pretty
of the
sad.
point makes
Yeah.
makes or breaks that deal. And you know, we always start with a budget where we know what we can afford, and we're like down here, and somehow it goes like this every time.
Sometimes, yeah.
And we're sometimes pushing that limit, but you know, a home is a home, and you want to get what you're really wanting. So that usually happens because you're going to be there for average 7 years, but sometimes 30 years you're in the same home forever. It really does pay off in the long run to make that interest rate down as low as you can.
And finding a lender that knows what they're doing, like Jennifer, I mean, it's huge. Some people don't talk about any of this and just unaware of what could go on. At least if you have the right lender and you get explanation, you can at least make your decision based on that.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yep. Tools. We all have our tools. So yeah.
Yes. Well, if they want to chat with you, because I know, Jennifer, that you do know of wide variety of different types of loans. We've talked about where they can come in and get financing if they're doing an FHA to remodel it. We've talked about that before, but this builder loan is something that I do think a lot of people in right now to next year probably will want to know about, because the builders are going to be offering product again. How would they get a hold of you to start that conversation?
Best number to call me on is always my cell, 775-338-5059.
Okay. And for Tracy, if they want to get a hold of you, talking about before they close, what is this extra coverage or LifeLock? How did they get a hold of you, my dear?
They can get a hold of me at 775-230-0421.
Ladies, I thank you for your knowledge. Everything you always bring to the table is so wonderful. And I can't wait to see you again next month. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Digging a Big
Thanks, Mary. Bye, Tracy.
Bye.